same error that virtually all of us confused have made. We've attention with love. Believe me, it's virtually impossible to be truly happy and successful when you're constantly yearning for attention. Because if it's attention you want, you're at the mercy of others. You usually end up as a people pleaser, begging for approval. Attention seeking is also a problem because people tend to do is stupid imperative to unhook attention and love for a number of reasons. It thinks to get it. First, you will be more successful. Second, you will be happier. And third, you can find true love in your life. For the most part, when people confuse love and attention, they don't love each other in the true spiritual sense of the word. They love each other largely from the place of their own ego, as in, I love what you do for me. Therefore, the relationship is really about the individual and not about the other person, or at least the both of you. By disconnecting attention from love, you will be freed up to love another for who they are, rather than what they do for you. Now, as I said, there is no such thing as a rich victim. So to stay a victim, attention seekers make darn sure they never get rich. It's time to decide. You can be a victim or you can be rich, but you can't be both. Listen up. Every time, and I mean every time, you blame, justify, or complain, you are slitting your financial throat. Sure, it would be nice to use a kinder and gentler metaphor, but forget it. I'm not interested in kind or gentle right now. I'm interested in helping you see exactly what the heck you're doing to yourself. Later, once you get rich, we can be kinder and gentler. How's that? It's time to take back your power and acknowledge that you create everything that is in your life and everything that is not in it. Realize that you create your wealth, your non-wealth, and every level in between. Declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, I create the exact financial level of my success. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Millionaire mind actions 1. Every time you catch yourself or index justifying, blaming, complaining, slide your finger across your neck as a trigger to remind yourself that you are slitting your financial throat. Once again, even though this gesture may seem a little crude to do to yourself, it's no more crude than what you're doing to yourself by blaming, justifying, or complaining, and it will eventually work to alleviate these destructive habits. 2. Do a debrief. At the end of each day, write down one thing that went well and one thing that didn't. Then write the answer to the following question. How did I create each of these situations? Involved, ask if others were yourself. What was my part in these creating situations? This exercise will keep you accountable for your life and make you aware of the strategies that are working for you and the strategies that are not. Each of special bonus. Go millionairemindbook.com and click on free book bonuses to receive your free Action Millionaire reminders. Mind Wealth file number 2. Rich people play the money game to win. 2. Poor people play the money game to not lose. Poor people play the money, then game on defense offense. Let me ask you, if you were to play any sport or any game strictly defense, what are the chances of your winning that game? Most people would agree, slim and none. Rather yet, that's exactly how most people play the money game. Their primary concern is survival and security instead of creating wealth and abundance. So what is your goal? What is your objective? What is your true intention? The goal of truly rich people is to have massive wealth and abundance, not just some money, but lots of money. So what is the big goal of poor people? To have enough to pay the bills, and on time would be a miracle. Again, let me remind you of the power of intention. When your intention is to have enough to pay the bills, that's exactly how much you'll get. Just enough to pay the bills and not a dime more. Middle-class people at least go a step further. Too bad it's a tiny step. Their big goal in life also happens to be their favorite word in the whole wide world. They just want to be comfortable. I hate to break the news to you, but there's a huge difference being comfortable and being rich. I have to admit, I didn't always know that. But one of the reasons I believe I have the right to even write this book is that I've had had the experience of being on all three sides of the proverbial fence. I've been extremely broke, as in having to borrow $1 for gas for my car. But let me qualify that. First, it wasn't my car. Second, that dollar came in the form of 4 quarters. Do you know how embarrassing it is for an adult to pay for gas with 4 quarters? The kid at the pump looked at me as if I was some kind of vending machine robber and then just shook his head and laughed. I don't know if you can relate, but it was definitely one of my financial low points, and unfortunately just one of them. Once I got my act together, I graduated to the level of being comfortable. Comfortable is nice. At least you go out to decent restaurants for a change, but pretty much all I could order was chicken, and now there's nothing wrong with chicken, if that's what you really want. But often it's not. In fact, people who are only financially usually comfortable decide on what to eat by looking at the right-hand side of the menu, the price side. What would you like for dinner tonight, dear? I'll have this $7.95 dish. Let's see what it is. Surprise, surprise. It's the chicken for the 19th time this week. When you're comfortable, you don't dare allow your eyes to look at the bottom of the menu, for if you did, you might come across the most forbidden words in the middle-class dictionary. Market price. And even if you were curious, you'd never ask what the price actually is. First, because you know you can't afford it. Second, it's downright embarrassing when you know the waiter doesn't believe you, when he tells you the dish is $49 with side dishes extra, and you say, you know what, for some reason, I have a real craving for chicken tonight. That for me to say personally, one of the best things about being rich is not having to look at the prices on the menu anymore. I eat exactly what I want to eat, regardless of the price. I can assure you I didn't do that when I was broke or comfortable. I have it boils down to this. If your goal is to be comfortable, chances are you'll never get rich. But if your goal is to be rich, chances are you'll end up mighty comfortable. Wealth principle. If your goal is to be comfortable, chances are you'll never get rich. But if your goal is to be rich, chances are you'll end up mighty comfortable. One of the principles we teach in our programs is if you shoot for the stars, the moon. Poor people don't even shoot for the ceiling in their house, and then they wonder why they're not successful. Well, they just found out. You get what you truly intend to get. If you want to get rich, your goal has to be rich. Not to have enough to pay the bills, and not just to have enough to be comfortable. Rich means rich. Declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, to goal, become a millionaire and more. My is touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Millionaire Mind Actions 1. Write down financial objectives that demonstrate your intention to create abundance, not mediocrity or poverty. Write play to win goals for your A. Annual income be net worth. Make these goals achievable with a realistic time frame. Yet at the same time, remember to shoot for the stars. 2.2. Go to an upscale restaurant and order a meal at market price without asking how much costs. If funds are tight, sharing is acceptable. P.S. No chicken. Wealth file number 3. Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. Ask most people if they want to be rich, and they'd look at you as if you were crazy. Of course I want to be rich, they'd say. The truth, however, is that most people would be rich. Why? Because they have a lot of negative wealth files in their subconscious that tell mind something wrong with being rich. To them, our Millionaire Mind the Intensive Seminar, one of the questions we ask people is, what are some of the possible negatives about being rich or trying to get rich? Here's what some people have to say. See if you can relate to any of these. What if I make it and lose it? Then I'll really be a failure. I'll never know if people like me for myself or for my money. I'll be at the highest tax bracket and have to give half my money to the government. It's too much work. I could lose my health trying. My friends and family will say, who do you think you are? And criticize me. Everyone's going to want a handout. I could be robbed. My kids could be kidnapped. It's too much responsibility. I'll have to manage all that money. I'll understand, have really to worry. I'll have tax strategies and asset about to hire, and have protection expensive accountants and lawyers. Yuck, what a hassle. To an honor, As I mentioned earlier, each of us has a wealth file inside the cabinet called our mind. This file contains our personal beliefs that include why being rich would be for many wonderful. However, includes this people. Information as to why being rich file also might not be so wonderful. This means they have mixed internal messages about wealth. One part of them gleefully says, having more money will make life a lot more fun. But then another part screams, yeah, but I'm going to have to work like a dog. What fun is that? One part says, I'll be able to travel the world. Then the other part chirps in, yeah, and everyone in the world will want a handout. These mixed messages may seem innocent enough, but in reality, they are one of the major reasons most people never become rich. You can look at it like this. The universe, which is another way of saying higher power, is akin to a big mail order department. It is constantly delivering people, events, and things to you. You order what sending energetic you get by messages out to the universe based on your predominant beliefs. Again, based on the law of attraction, the universe will do its best to say yes and support you. But if you have mixed messages in your file, the universe can't understand what you want. One minute the universe hears that you want to be rich, so it begins for sending you opportunities, wealth. But then it hears you say that rich people are greedy, so the universe begins to support you in not having much money. But then you think, having a lot of money makes so much more enjoyable. So the poor universe, dazed and confused, restarts sending you opportunities for more money. And then the next day you'll think, uninspired mood, so money's not that important. The frustrated universe finally screams, make up your frickin' mind. I'll get you what you want. Just tell me what it is. Life. The number one reason most people don't get what they want is that they don't know what they want. Rich people are totally clear that they want wealth. They are unwavering in their desire. They are fully committed to creating wealth. As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, they will do whatever it takes to have wealth. Rich people do not send mixed messages to the universe. Poor people do. By the way, when you read that last paragraph, if a little voice inside your head said something to the effect of rich people don't care if it's legal, moral, or ethical, you're definitely doing the right thing in reading this book. You'll soon find out what a detrimental way of thinking that is. Wealth principle. The number one reason most people don't get what they want is that they don't know what they want. Poor people have plenty of good to why getting in reasons as actually being rich might be a problem. Consequently, they're not 100% certain to the universe confusing. Their message to others is confusing. And why does all of this confusion happen? Because their message to themselves is confusing. The power of intention. I know it might be hard to believe, but you always get what you want, what you subconsciously want, not what you want. You might say emphatically deny this and respond, that's crazy. Why would I want to struggle? And my question for you is exactly the same. I don't know. Why would you want to struggle? Earlier we talked about, if you want to discover the reason, I invite you to attend the Millionaire Mind Intensive Seminar, where you will identify your money blueprint. The answer will be staring you in the face. Put bluntly, if you are not achieving the wealth you say you desire, there's a good first you chance subconsciously wealth. Or second, you're not willing to do what it takes to create it. It's because, let's explore this further. There are actually 3 levels of so-called wanting. The first level is, I want to be rich. That's another way of saying, I'll take it if it falls in my lap. Wanting alone is useless. Have you noticed that wanting doesn't necessarily lead to having? Notice also that wanting without having leads to more wanting. Wanting becomes habitual and leads only to itself, creating a perfect circle that goes exactly nowhere. Wealth does not come from merely wanting it. How do you know this is true? With a simple reality check. Billions of people want to be rich. Relatively few are. The second level of wanting is, I choose to be rich. This entails deciding to become rich. Choosing is a much stronger energy and goes hand in hand with being responsible for creating your reality. The word decision comes from the Latin word decidere, which means to kill off any other alternatives. Choosing is better but not best. The third level of wanting is I rich. The commit definition of the word commit is to being devote oneself unreservedly. This means holding absolutely nothing back, giving 100% of everything you've got to achieving wealth. It means being willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. This is the warrior's way. No excuses, no ifs, no buts, no maybes. And failure is not an option. The warrior's way is simple. I will be rich or I will die trying. I commit to being rich. Try to yourself. What saying comes up for you? For some, it feels empowering. For others, it feels daunting. That most people would never truly commit to being rich. If you ask them, would you bet your life that in the next 10 years you will be wealthy? Most would say, no way. That's the difference between rich people and poor people. It's precisely because people won't truly commit to being rich that they are not rich and most likely never will be. Some might say, Harv, what are you talking about? I work my butt off. I'm trying real hard. Of course I'm committed to being rich. And I would reply, that little. The your too is definition of commitment, devote oneself unreservedly. The key word is unreservedly, which means you're putting everything, and I mean everything, you've got trying means into it. Most people I know who are not successful have limits on how much they are willing to do, how much they are willing to risk, and how much they are willing to sacrifice. Although they think they're willing to do whatever it takes, upon deeper questioning, I always find they have plenty of conditions around what they are willing to do and not do to succeed. I hate to have to be the one to tell you this, but getting rich is not a stroll in the park, and anyone who tells you it is either knows a heck of a lot more than me, or is a little out integrity. In my experience, of getting rich takes focus, courage, knowledge, expertise, 100%, financially of your effort, and never give up attitude, and of course a rich mindset. You also have to believe in your heart of hearts that you can create wealth and that you absolutely deserve it. Again, what this means is that if you are not fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth, chances are you won't. Wealth principle. If you are not fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth, chances are you won't. Are you willing to work 16 hours a day? Rich people are. Are you willing to work 7 days a week and give up most of your weekends? Rich people are. Are you willing to sacrifice seeing your family, your friends, and give up your recreations and hobbies? Rich people are. Are you willing to risk all your time, energy, and startup capital with no guarantee of returns? Rich people are. For a time, hopefully a short time, but often a long time, rich people are ready and willing to do all of the above. Are you? Maybe you'll be lucky and you won't have to work long or hard or sacrifice anything. You can wish for that, but I sure wouldn't count on it. Again, rich people are committed enough to do whatever it takes. Period. It's interesting to note, however, that once you do commit, the universe will bend over backward to support you. One of my favorite passages is by explorer W.H. Murray, who wrote the following during one of the first Himalayan expeditions. Is committed? There is hesitancy. The chance always to until one. Drawback in effectiveness. Concerning all and acts of one creation, the elementary ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen and incidents, material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. Initiative is their truth meetings. In other words, the universe will assist you, guide you, support you, and even create miracles for you. But first, you have to commit. Declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, I commit to being rich. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Millionaire mind actions 1. Write a short paragraph on exactly why creating wealth is important to you. Be specific. 2. Meet with a friend or family member who is willing to support you. Tell that person You want to evoke the power of commitment for the purpose of creating greater success. Put your hand on your heart, look that person in the eye, following and statement, I, your name, do hereby commit to becoming a millionaire or more by date. Tell your partner leaving you. Then you say thank you. To PS commitment, I commit direct strengthen. Repeat the millionairebook.com. Then print out your commitment and post it on your wall. PPS, check in as to how you feel before your commitment and how you feel after it. If you feel a sense of freedom, you're on your way. If you feel a tinge of fear, you're on your way. If you didn't bother doing it, you're still in not being willing to do whatever it takes mode, or I don't need to do any of this weird stuff mode. Either way, let me remind you, your way has gotten you exactly where you are right now. Wealth file number 4, rich people think big, poor people think small. We once had a trainer teaching at one of our seminars who went from a net worth of $250,000 to over $600 million in only 3 years. When asked his secret, he either said, everything changed the moment I began to think big. I refer you to the law of income, which states you will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver, the according marketplace. To wealth principle, the law of income. You will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the marketplace. The key word is value. It's important to know that 4 factors in determine your value: the demand marketplace, in my and quantity, quality, experience. The factor that presents the biggest challenge for most people is the quantity. The quantity supply factor simply means how much of your value do you actually deliver to the marketplace. Another way of stating this is how many people do you actually serve or affect? In my business, for instance, some trainers prefer teaching small groups of 20 people at a time. Others are comfortable with 100 participants in the room. Others like an audience of 5, love 100, and still others, audiences of 1,000 to 5 there, 1,000 or more. Difference in income among these trainers? You better believe there is. Consider the network marketing business. Is there a difference in income between someone who has 10 people in his or her downline and someone who has 10,000 people? I would think so. Near the beginning of this book, I mentioned that I owned a chain of the retail moment I even considered going into this business, and my intention was to have 100 successful stores and affect tens of thousands of people. My competitor, on the other hand, who started 6 months' intention of after me, had owning 1 successful store. In the end, she earned a decent living. I got rich. Fitness stores from the how do you want to live your life? How do you want to play the game? Do you want to play in the big leagues or in the little leagues, in the majors or the minors? Are you going to play big or play small? It's your choice. Most people choose to play small. Why? First, because of fear. They're scared to death of failure, and they're even more frightened of success. Second, people play small because they feel small. They feel unworthy. They don't feel they're or important enough to make a real difference in people's lives. But hear this, your life is not just about you. It's also about contributing to others. It's about living true to your mission and reason for being here on this earth at this time. It's about adding your piece of the puzzle to the world. Most people are so stuck in their egos revolves around me, and more me. But if you want to be rich in the truest sense of the word, it can't only be about you. It has to include adding value to other people's lives. That. Everything. One of the greatest inventors and philosophers of our time, Buckminster Fuller, said, "The purpose of our lives is to add value to the people of this generation and those that follow." We each came to this earth with natural talents, things we're just naturally good at. These gifts were given to you for a reason, to use and share with others. Research shows that the happiest people are those who use their natural talents to the utmost. Part of your mission in life, then, must be to share your gifts and value with as many people as possible. That means being willing to play big. Do you know the definition of an entrepreneur? The definition we use in our programs is a person who solves problems for people at a profit. That's right. An entrepreneur is nothing more than a problem solver. So I ask you, would you rather solve problems for more people or fewer people? If you replied more, then you need to start thinking bigger and decide to help massive numbers of people, thousands, even millions. The byproduct is that the more people you help, the richer you become mentally and emotionally, definitely financially, spiritually. Make no mistake, every person on this planet has a mission. If you are living right now, there's a reason for it. Richard Bach, in his book, Is Jonathan Livingston Seagull, asked, "How will I know when I've completed my mission?" The answer? If you are still breathing, you are not done. What I have witnessed is too many people not doing their job, not fulfilling their duty, or dharma as it's called in Sanskrit. I watch too many people playing far too small, and too many people allowing their fear-based ego selves to rule them. The result is that too many of us are not living up to our full potential in terms of both our own lives and our contribution to others. It comes down to this: if not you, then who? Again, everyone has his or her unique purpose. Maybe you're and buy real properties to rent them out and make money on cash flow and appreciation. What's your mission? How do you help? There's a good to your chance you add value estate investor community by helping families find affordable housing they may not otherwise be able to find. Now the question is, how many families and people can you assist? Are you willing to help 10 instead of 1, 20 instead of 10, 100 instead of 20? This is what I mean by playing big. In her wonderful book, a return author, Marianne Williamson, puts it this way: "Love, you are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve is about nothing shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. The world, they're enlightened. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated fear, from our own automatically presence liberates others. The world doesn't need more people playing small. It's time to stop hiding out and start stepping out. It's time to stop needing and to start. Instead of sharing your gifts leading, it's time hoarding them or pretending they don't exist. Time you started playing the game of life in a big way. In the end, small thinking and small actions lead to being both broke and unfulfilled. Big thinking and big actions lead to having both money and meaning. The choice is yours." Success story from Jim Rosemary. From Jim Rosemary to T. Harv Eker. If someone had said to me I would have doubled my simultaneously income and doubled my time off, I would have said that was not possible. But that is exactly what has happened. In 1 year, our business grew 175%, and in that same year, we took a total of 7 weeks of vacation time at that much of additional peak potential seminars. This is astounding, considering experienced minimal growth over the previous 5 years and struggled to get even 2 weeks of time off a year. Spent. We, as a result of knowing Harv Eker and being involved with Peak Potentials, I have a deeper understanding of myself and a greater appreciation for the abundance in my life. My relationship with my wife and being children immeasurably enhanced. I now see more opportunities than I ever thought possible. I feel that I truly am on the right path to success in all its facets. Has declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I think big. I choose to help thousands and thousands of people." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." Millionaire Mind Actions 1. Write down what you believe to be your natural talents. These are things you've always been naturally good at. Also write how and where you can use more of life and these gifts, especially your work life. In your 2, write down or brainstorm with a group of people how you can solve problems for 10 times the number of people you affect in your job or business now. Come up with at least 3 different strategies. Think leverage, wealth file. Number 5. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on Obstacles. Rich people see opportunities. Poor people see obstacles. Rich people see potential growth. Poor loss. Rich people see potential. People focus on the rewards. Poor focus on the risks. It comes down to the age-old question: is the glass half empty or talking full? We're not half positive thinking here. We're talking about your habitual perspective on the world. Poor people make choices based upon fear. Their minds are constantly scanning for what is wrong or could go wrong in any situation. Their primary mindset is, what if it doesn't work? Or more often, it won't work. Middle-class people are slightly more optimistic. Their mindset is, I sure hope this works. Rich people, as we've said earlier, take responsibility for the results in their lives and act upon the mindset, it will work because I'll make it work. Rich people expect to succeed. They have confidence abilities, they have confidence in their creativity, and they believe that should the doo-doo hit the fan, they can find another way to succeed. Generally speaking, the higher the reward, the higher the risk. See, because opportunity, rich people are willing to take a risk. Rich people believe that if worst comes to worst, they can always make their money back. Poor people, on the other hand, expect to fail. They lack confidence in themselves and in their abilities. Poor people believe that should they constantly things not work out, it would be catastrophic. And because they constantly see obstacles, they are usually unwilling to take a risk. No risk, no reward. For the record, being willing to risk doesn't necessarily mean that you are willing to lose. Rich people take educated risks. This means that do their diligence and make decisions based on solid information and facts. Do rich people take forever to get educated? No. They do what they can in as short a time as possible, then make an informed decision to go for it or not. Research, do. Although poor people claim to be preparing for an opportunity, is what's stalling. They're scared to death, hemming and hawing for weeks, months, and even years on end, and by then the opportunity usually disappears. Then they rationalize the situation by saying, I was getting ready. Sure enough. But while they were getting ready, the rich guy got in, got out, and made another fortune. They're usually doing, I know what I'm about to say, stranger may, considering how much I value self-due responsibility. However, believe a certain element of what many people call luck is associated with getting rich, or for that matter, with being successful at anything. Sound little lie. In football, it might be the opposing team's player fumbling on your own 1-yard line with less than a minute to go, allowing your team to win the game. In golf, it could be the errant shot that hits a tree and bounces out of bounds back onto the green, just 3 inches from the hole. In business, how many times have you heard of a guy who plops some money down on a piece of land in the boonies, and 10 years later, some conglomerate decides it wants to build a shopping centre or office building on it? This investor gets rich. So was it a brilliant business move on his part or sheer luck? My guess is that it's a bit of both. The point, however, is that no luck or anything else worthwhile will come your way unless you take some form of action. To succeed financially, you have to do something, buy something, or start something. And when you do, is it luck? Or is it the universe, or a higher, it's supporting you, power? Miraculous ways for having the courage and commitment to go for it. As far as I'm concerned, who cares what it is? It happens. In another key principle pertinent here is that rich people focus on what they want, while poor people focus on what they don't want. Again, the universal law states, what you focus on expands, because rich people focus on the everything. Opportunities abound them. For their biggest problem is handling incredible money-making, all possibilities they see. On the other hand, because poor people focus on everything, the obstacles abound for them, and their biggest problem is handling all the incredible obstacles they see. It's simple. Your field of focus determines what you find in life. Focus on opportunities, and that's what you find. Focus on obstacles, and that's what you find. I'm not saying that you don't take care of handle problems, or problems as the present. But keep your eye on your goal. Keep moving toward your target. Put your time and energy into creating what you want. When obstacles arise, handle them, then quickly refocus on your vision. You do not make your life about solving problems. You don't spend all your time fighting fires. Those who do move backward. You spend your time and energy in thought and forward deed, moving steadily towards your goal. Of course they arise. Do you want some simple but extremely rare advice? Here it is. If you want to get rich, focus on making, keeping, and investing your money. If you want to be poor, focus on spending your money. You can read 1,000 books and take 100 courses on success, but it all boils down to that. Remember, what you focus on expands. Rich people also understand that you can never know all information beforehand. In another of our programs, Enlightened Warrior Training, we train people to access inner power and succeed in spite of anything. In this course, we teach a principle known as ready, fire, aim. What do we mean? Get ready the best you can in as short a time as possible. Take action, then correct along the way. It's nuts to think you can know everything that may happen in the future. It's delusional to believe you can prepare for every circumstance that might someday occur and protect yourself from it. Did you know that there are no straight lines in the universe? Life doesn't travel in perfectly straight lines. It moves more like a winding river. More often than not, you can only see to the next bend, and only when you reach that next turn can you see more. The idea is to get in the game with whatever you've got from this wherever you are. Entering the corridor, for example, I was planning on years ago, I call opening an all-night dessert cafe in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I studied location options, the marketplace, and found out what equipment I'd need. Also researched the kinds of cakes, pies, ice creams, and coffees available. The first big problem, I got really fat. Eating my research wasn't helpful, so I asked myself, Harv, what would be the best way to study this business? Then I heard this guy named Harv, who was obviously a lot smarter than me, answer, if you really want to learn a business, get into it. You don't have to own the darn thing from day one. Get in the corridor by getting a job in the arena. You'll learn more by sweeping up a restaurant and washing dishes than by 10 years of research from the outside. I told you he was a lot smarter than me. And that's what I did. I got a job at Mother Butler's Pie Shop. I wish they'd tell you I immediately recognized my superb talents and started me as CEO. But alas, somehow they just didn't see they care about mine, nor did executive leadership skills. And so I began as a busboy. That's right, sweeping the floor and clearing dishes. Funny how the power of intention works, isn't it? Could that you might think that I must really have had to swallow my pride to do this, but the truth is, I never looked at it that way. I was on a mission, the Dessert Learn business. I was grateful for the opportunity to learn it on someone else's ticket and make some pocket change to boot. During my tenure as the pie busboy, I spent as much time as possible shooting the doo-doo with the manager about revenues and profits, checking boxes to find out the names of the suppliers, and helping the baker at 4 a.m. to learn about equipment, ingredients, and problems that could occur. A full week went by and I guessed job. I was pretty good at mine because the manager sat me down, fed me some pie, yuck, and promoted me to, drumroll please, cashier. I thought about it long and hard for exactly a nanosecond and replied, thanks, but no thanks. First, there was no way I could learn much being stuck behind a cash register. Second, I'd already learned. Learned what I came, mission accomplished. Bells went selling to opening one of the first retail fitness stores in North America and making my very first million. And to think it all started with me being a busboy at Mother Butler's Pie Shop. The moral is simple. Get in the corridor. You never know what doors will open up to you. I have a motto. Action always beats inaction. Rich people get started. They trust that once they get in, they can make intelligent decisions in the present moment, make corrections, and adjust their sails along the way. Poor people don't the game in themselves or their abilities, so they believe everything in advance, which is trust they have to impossible. Meanwhile, virtually, they don't do squat. In the end, with their positive, ready, fire, aim attitude, rich people take action and usually win. The telling in themselves, I'm not doing anything until I've identified every possible problem and know exactly what to do about it. Poor people never take action and therefore always lose. By rich people see an opportunity, jump on it, and get even richer. As for poor people, they're still preparing. Declarations: place your hand on your heart, say, I focus on opportunities over obstacles. I get ready, I fire, I aim. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Millionaire mind actions 1. Get in the game. Consider a youth situation wanting to start. Whatever you've or been waiting for, forget it. Begin now, from wherever you are, with whatever you've got. If possible, do it while working for or with someone else first to learn the ropes. If you've already learned, no more excuses, go for it. 2. Practice today whatever anyone is a problem or an obstacle. Reframe it into an opportunity. You'll drive negative people nuts, but hey, what's the difference? That's what they're constantly doing to themselves anyway. Optimism says 3. Focus on what you have, not on what you don't have. Make a list of 10 things you are grateful for in your life and read the list aloud. Then read it each morning for the next 30 days. If you don't appreciate what you've got, you won't get any more, and you don't need any more. Wealth file number 6. Rich people admire other rich and successful people. Poor people resent rich and successful people. Poor people often look at other people's success with resentment, jealousy, and envy, or they snip, lucky, or whisper, they're so under jerks. Their breath. Those rich, you have to realize that if you view rich people as bad in any way, shape, or form, and you want to be a good person, then you can never be rich. It's impossible. How can you be something you despise? The resentment and even outright anger that many poor people have toward the rich. As if they believe that rich people make them poor. Yep, that's right, rich people took all the money. So there's none left for me. Of course, this is perfect victim talk. It's amazing to witness. I want to tell you a story, not to complain, but simply to relate a real-world experience I had with this principle. In the old days, when I was financially to drive I used challenged clunker. Changing lanes in traffic was never a problem. Almost everybody would let me in. But when I got rich and bought a gorgeous new black Jaguar, I couldn't help but notice how things changed. All of a sudden, I started getting cut off and sometimes given the finger for added measure. I even got things thrown at me, all for one reason. I drove a Jag. Let's just say, one day I was driving through a lower-end neighborhood in San Turquis for a Diego, delivering charity at Christmas time. I had the sunroof open, and I noticed 4 grimy guys perched in the back of a pickup truck behind me. I'd have started playing nowhere, by basketball with my attempting to shoot beer cans into my open sunroof. 5 dents and several deep scratches later, they passed me screaming, "You rich bastard!" They car. Of course, I figured this to be a 2 incident until isolated weeks later in a different lower-end neighborhood. I parked my car on the street and returned to it less than 10 minutes later to discover that the entire side of my car had been keyed. Just the next time I went to that area of town, I rented a Ford Escort, and amazingly, I didn't have a single problem. I'm not implying that poorer neighborhoods have bad people, but in my experience, they sure seem to have plenty of folks who resent the rich. Who knows, maybe it's some kind of chicken and egg thing. Is it because they're broke that they resent the rich? Or because they resent rich people that they're broke? As concerned, who cares? It's all the same, they're still poor. Far as to talk about not resenting the rich, but depending on your mood, falling into the trap can to anyone, even me. Happened recently. I was eating dinner in my hotel room, about an hour before. It's easy. To going on stage to teach an evening session at the Millionaire Mind seminar. I turned on the tube to check the sports scores and found that Oprah was on. Although I'm not a big fan of television, I love Oprah. That woman has affected more people in a positive way than almost anyone else on the planet. She deserves, and consequently, every penny she's got, and more. Meanwhile, she's interviewing actress Halle Berry. They're just discussing how Halle has received one of the largest film contracts in history for a female actor, $20 million. Halle then says that she doesn't care about the money, and that she fought for this humongous contract to blaze a trail for other women to follow. I heard myself say skeptically, "Yeah, right. Do you think I and everyone else watching this show is an idiot? You should take a hunk of that dough and give your public relations agent a raise. That's the best soundbite writing I've ever heard." I felt the negativity welling up inside me, and just in the nick of time I caught myself before they took me over. "Cancel. Energy cancel. Thank you for sharing," I yelled out loud to my mind to drown out that voice of resentment. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, Mr. Millionaire Mind himself, actually resenting Halle Berry for the money she made. I quickly turned and began around screaming at the top of my lungs, "Way to go, girl. You rock. You let him off too cheap. You should have got $30 million. Good for you. You're incredible and you deserve it." I felt a lot better. Yet regardless of her reason for wanting all that money, the problem wasn't her, it was me. Remember, my opinions make no difference to Halle's happiness or wealth. They do make a difference to my own wealth. Also happiness, remember, and thoughts that opinions aren't good or bad, right or wrong, as they enter your mind. But they can sure be empowering or disempowering to your happiness and success as they enter your life. The moment I felt that negative through me, my energy observation alarm